What is anxiety? And how do we know when it's time to get help? Anxiety is generally associated with a list of negative feelings that seem to be related to future events that are likely going to have a catastrophic outcome. There's obviously more to this story because such a basic description of anxiety doesn't help us understand what makes it so prevalent. It affects doctors, lawyers, mechanics, policemen. In fact, at this point, up to 18% of adults experience clinically significant levels of anxiety. That's almost 1 in 5 of us. Now let's borrow some basic concepts from cognitive neuroscience to understand the activation and deactivation of the anxiety cycle. Pay very close attention because each piece of the cycle will be used in the solution later on. We first notice anxiety as an uncomfortable feeling or sensation, like your heartbeat, butterflies in the stomach, or perhaps the feeling like it's hard to breathe. These sensations begin to be mentally tracked and measured as an indication of your distress level. As an entirely unconscious mental process, those feelings almost instantly become associated with scary thoughts. Thoughts like, "My heart is racing. I could have a heart attack and die." Within the same fraction of a second, you're bombarded with disturbing images, reinforcing the idea that this imagined catastrophe is likely going to happen, or it really is happening. Now, these newly identified anxiety sensations have to be checked and rechecked to make sure that it's not getting worse. At the same time, those scary thoughts about the future fears develop further into something like, "Oh no, it's getting worse. I am having a heart attack. I need a hospital." Similarly, the images begin to appear amplified, and before you know it, the anxiety cycle becomes fully activated and spirals out of control. Because this level of activation happens so fast, it rarely gets detected as irrational or questioned for its validity. The next part is a completely logical progression. Just like staying out of the rain to avoid getting wet and cold, similarly, you start to control your environment in hopes of avoiding feeling scared. You start to avoid people, places, and things that tend to increase your anxiety, again measured by sensations like an increased heartbeat. You stop going to parties or exercising or perhaps even driving on certain streets because of the way it elevates your heartbeat or creates disturbing thoughts. This avoidance becomes a self-reinforcing pattern. Each time you avoid normal places that seem to cause you distress, you behaviorally reinforce the idea that the anxiety cycle is real. As an unconscious side effect, you begin to think that you can't handle the fear. This unique orientation to the anxiety cycle provides the viewer everything they need to manage their negative emotions. Most people really benefit from training their capacity to tolerate the internal cues pointed out in this video. You can find all the information you need to do this at Modern Psychological Services, or just contact Dr. Douglas.